clinic, her other doctor that she had hired had been had his license taken away for sexually molesting and raping his patients in the abortion rooms. And these people were operating. No one ever looked. But finally, they were reported. They started to investigate them, and they arrested that clinic owner. They arrested her sister, and they arrested that other abortionists that didn't have a license. And those people are going to jail now because pro-lifers used the laws that were on the books against them. And let me tell you, this is going to work every time because abortionists are not going to follow the law. They just aren't going to. And so we've seen some success with that around the country. And some states it's easier than others, but it's one way to shut an abortion clinic down is use the laws against them. And if you can get them enforced, you're going to see closed abortion clinics.
Now, some of the agencies responsible for police and abortion clinics include the Kansas State Board of Healing Arts, the Kansas Department of Health and Environment, the State Attorney General's Office, and the local district attorney's office. So, towards far, each of these agencies I've just mentioned, with the exception of the Attorney General's office, has failed to monitor Tiller's multi-million-dollar abortion business and enforce legal regulations. People, we are talking with Cheryl of Operation Rescue, for those people just now streaming. We are pro-life here on Freedom Fighter Radio. We do believe in life, Dave, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We do believe also, Dave, in less government is better government. But a case like this, Dave, it is very important. I don't think it's up to citizens to decide whether an unborn baby is terminated or not, Dave. This is not the mother's choice. This is not her choice. If she doesn't want it, Dave, put it up for adoption. And which, by the way, that leads to the next question, Cheryl. This is not. It's sort of connected with Operation Rescue, but and maybe Dave might want to help on. You might want to help me out in this next question too, Dave. You and her.
Okay.
The alternative to abortion, many couples cannot have children due to whether they're sterile or whatever, but the laws that are on the books in the various states in our country have made it so restrictive and costly. And I understand they want to do background checks, but it's very interesting that the abortion industry is not regulated, but yet if someone wants to, they're so eager to terminate a life. But then, Dave, if I had a wife and I was, and I'm not, I'm single, ladies, for you ladies out there, I am a single patriot. I had to throw that out there, Dave. Need a God-fearing, American-loving woman. Anyway, quick little PSA, Dave. If I ever had a wife, I've already done it. Dave, if I had a wife, or if I have a wife again, and say one of us be sterile, might be me because I'm on the phone all the time. The microwave's probably sterilizing me. But anyway, just a little humor, Dave. But no, if I want to adopt a child, they are going to go through paperwork, checking me out, costing money, and it's ridiculous. I mean, why is it harder to adopt a child, Dave, than to terminate the same child? In other words, okay, we'll let the woman terminate that child, but if you say, I want to adopt that girl, the 16-year-old girl down the street. She instead of her having an abortion, my wife and I will adopt it. But then we got to go through all kind of paperwork, Dave, to adopt that child. But yet she can just walk in one afternoon and terminate that life. Does that make any sense to you, Dave?
Well,
do you understand where I'm coming from, Dave?
Yes, absolutely. It's called greed. Lawyers.
No, right. I mean, so Cheryl, I'd like you to comment about that. Is that something Operation Rescue is working towards? Maybe the reformation of adoption laws. I mean, making it easier.
Yeah, that's actually something that is near and dear to our life. In fact, Troy was adopted. The director of our ministry was an adopted boy. But anyway, we do work towards that. We know that there are a lot of loopholes and a lot of red tape and a lot of things like that in the adoption process that prevents people from being able to adopt these babies. And, when people say that, well, this baby's going to be unloved, that's just not true. The last I heard, there were over 2 million unanswered requests for adoption every year in this country, and there's plenty of good homes waiting. But yeah, the adoption laws have to be reformed because it's preventing women from releasing these babies, and it's driving them to the abortion clinic. And ironically, women feel like when they have abortions, they feel like they don't have a choice. And I think the adoption option is just not something that's presented to them in a positive light, and that's something that needs to change.
Well, what about
I could never figure out, Cheryl, why unwed mothers had to go to an attorney to give their baby up. This should be a matter between like a court and the mother. There should be a direct link between the courts and the mother, not an attorney. We're just adding to the cost of all this stuff by having attorneys get involved in it. This should be a situation where a court should be notified that there is a pregnancy of an unwed mother who would like to give her baby up, and those people who are in the need of wanting a family and can't have one could go and apply, put an application for child at the court's level. The court would hear about the case. The baby would be delivered. The situation go direct to court and assigned. Why are we messing with attorneys other than drive the cost of this thing up and up and up and up?
Right, I agree. That's a great solution.
Now, I do want to point out on another thing, Dave. Tiller, this guy, Dave, is evil, okay? And I just want to say, I mean, Dave, there is an eyewitness confession, and I know you're almost out of time, but if you want to hang around, that's fine, of a live infant stabbed to death by this abortionist Tiller, shall I say it? You know, and Operation Rescue is calling for the immediate suspension of Celis' medical license and for an emergency closure of Tiller's late-term abortion mill in light of the shocking audio-taped admission. Dave, I believe I'm going to try this before she goes. You there, Dave?
I'm here.
Okay, we're going to try this audio admission here on Freedom Fighter Radio of We'll try our best. Bear with us. It's only a minute and a half long, people. We'll be right back, and then we'll try to get our guests to comment on this case here, Dave.
Okay. About something that Stella did when the baby was born. He thought maybe the baby was kicking or moving.
Mm-hmm. It happened once.
Would you mind telling me?
Well, my job, like I said, was hold the leg and count the parts if it was in pieces.
Right.
And this was maybe 35 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty big.
Yeah. It was a big baby. And baby came out, and it was moving. I don't know if it was alive or if it was nerves. I have no clue. Mm-hmm. But Dr. Stella looked up right away at me and took a utensil and stabbed it right here and twisted, and then it didn't move anymore.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I don't remember, because usually we did the injection. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple of times that we did the injection and then they went home.
What happened then?
They went home?
Yeah, they would go home to their own doctor.
Oh, I see. And then he would do like a stillborn delivery? Okay, I understand that. Okay.
Yeah. I think that happened about 4 times.
There you have it, Dave. Was that, Dave, pretty shocking, Dave? Let me unmute my guest.
I don't know how people live with themselves sometimes.
What you heard, people, right now.
I don't know how people live with themselves sometimes.
People, what you just heard is off Operation Rescue. They got to listen to the interview excerpt of the shocking, you just heard the shocking audio tape admission talking about how Dr. Tiller, the baby was born, Dave, and he whipped out a utensil and stabbed it. Cheryl, talk to us about this eyewitness confession, talking about how this abortion doctor killed a child that was born. It was breathing, and he stabbed it. And we just played the admission. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Right. We had a former Tiller worker, a former abortion clinic worker, come to us just in April, and she sat down with us, and we conducted about a 3.5-hour interview with her. She told us a number of things about what goes on at the clinic, and when she told us that, we were pretty shocked. We reported it to the police. We reported it to the Kansas State Board of Healing Arts. And we just found out today that the police have closed the investigation, and this is why. Because I mentioned the incinerator before. There was no body for them to autopsy. The baby was put in the incinerator and incinerated. So without the body, it became really, really difficult. And then it became the word of this former clinic worker against the word of the abortionist. And so it was just not going to be a case that they were going to be able to try in court. Unfortunately, because of the lack of evidence, it was just this person's eyewitness account. And so we're disappointed but not surprised that that was not going to go anywhere. But the reason that we put it on the Internet was because we want people to know from the words out of the mouth of a person who was there and saw it, that this is the kind of thing that's going on inside of that abortion clinic. Our grand jury just came back today and said they were not going to indict Tiller because the way the laws are written, he is not doing anything illegal. But let me tell you, there's stuff going on in that clinic. If those investigators would go down to that clinic and inspect the clinic and take a look around, they're going to find out a whole bunch of stuff that's going on down there that should not be going on. And that's the struggle that we've had here in Kansas. Tiller is a very wealthy man. He's spread his money out to political candidates and people in office. He's bought a lot of political favor and a lot of political cover. And so to get the laws of the state of Kansas enforced against him has been nearly impossible. And so we're not giving up, though. We're going to move on, and we have some other ideas up our sleeve how to hold him accountable for what he's done. But, man, I'll tell you, this guy is unbelievable, and we just cannot stand idly by and allow this kind of stuff to go on and not say something about it. You know, we got to do something about it, and that's what we're trying to do. That's why we moved here to Wichita, was to put an end to this kind of nonsense.
And there's many other organizations. I do have to apologize for being out of the loop for a number of years, but I intend to get back in the loop on this. Also, a couple months ago, there's another pro-life organization, and I would love to, if you can get them to contact us. It's an organization called Students for Life. And we work with them. And they released an undercover video where Tiller told them that if a baby is born alive during an abortion, it's just a sloppy technique. It's just a technique that is reprehensible, he added. That guy that did that ought to have his head beat up.
Yep, that's what he said, but yet that kind of thing is going on inside of his own abortion clinic. I would say that makes Mr. Tiller a hypocrite as well as a murderer.
Now that interview excerpt is also 1 minute and 38 seconds. Is that the same one I just played, or is that another one?
Yeah, no, that's the one. That's the one you just played. So,
all right, no problem. But now the undercover video, and I haven't had a chance to watch it. There's actual undercover video that they can see about this, right? Right. The Students for Life went to a speech that he was giving, and they were able to get an interview with him afterwards. Now, Tiller didn't know who they were, but he did give the interview to him. They had a secret, kind of hidden camera in a bag, and so they were able to get that. They were very showed a lot of ingenuity, and we really appreciated that. But they're a good organization, and we do work with them from time to time. Can I read 4 things that Tiller says in the video? One says, Tiller says in the video, he has done late abortions up to the late day before delivery. It shows photos he collected of dead bodies of babies he aborted. He admits he never heard of the Federal Born Alive Infant Protection Act, and he describes babies with handicaps as burdens on women in society. Dave?
Yeah,
Everybody has an excuse, Jim, to do what they do. Have you ever heard of anybody who's guilty of a crime and admit it? I haven't.
You haven't done that, huh, Dave?
No.
No, I haven't either.
I mean,
And he has a lot of lawyers that are. He has a lot of lawyers that are keeping him going too. And if it wasn't for that, I think he would have been gone a long time ago. But he does have some very dedicated attorneys keeping that abortion clinic open.